Okay, we're back to do the ball of the foot and the toe. If you finished your tread heavy heel and then you've knit your foot, I would say about an inch or so less than you normally would. Now this is a point of preference, so it might not be exactly an inch. What I do is I measure the ball of my foot, or how far I want the extra, I was going to say coverage. I guess that's an okay word to use, but the extra reinforcement to be. I see how long I want that to be, and then I knit my foot that much less, and then we go into the ball of the foot. Now this is going to be pretty easy for those of you who have finished the heel part, because it's going to be doing the same thing we were doing here, but it's just half and half. So I have this on magic loop. I switch my needles all the time, but I feel like magic loop is a really easy way to see what someone's doing, even if you use a different method, and it's an easy way to learn sock construction, because you've just got so much cord to play with, and it's so nice. So what we're going to do here is, by the way, this is the coffee break socks by Stone Knits. I am making them for my sister for her birthday, and this will come out after her birthday probably, so she won't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with our slip stitch pattern again, and of course this is really easy to follow. So we're just going to slip one and knit one, and we're going to do that all across the bottom of the foot. Slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one. And I'm going to do that all the way across, and then I'm going to do the top of my foot in whatever pattern you have going on. So in this sock, it's just stockinette, which is great, but you can do, just be mindful of whatever pattern you have going on with your sock. Most socks on the sole are just stockinette, so it's highly unlikely that the tread heavy pattern will mess with any lace or texture pattern or anything in there. So here we go, almost to the end. Slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one. There we go. And then on this side, it's just stockinette. Look at those speckles. Aren't those wonderful? Okay. And then we're gonna knit our way across. And at some point I'm gonna be switching colors, because that's what my pattern is gonna tell me to do. But I'm still gonna be just dealing with my toe later in that way, so you don't need to worry about that. Oh, I thought I was slipping one for a minute. I'm not. I'm just going across in stockinette. And that's what happens when you go on autopilot, right? Your brain, even though you think, right, that autopilot just means stockinette, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it means I switch into slipping one and knitting one. Sometimes it means I switch into ribbing. So my brain sometimes on autopilot does complicated things, and I gave it no such permission. So here we go, almost to the end of the top of the foot. Like I said, make sure you're just following whatever chart or pattern for this part that will flow with your sock. And then we're going to come back around, and we're going to resolve these slip stitches with just knitting across, okay? So I'm going to move across, and you can tell, right? Like, if you're not sure, like, what did I do the last time? First of all, you'll probably be able to tell from the front. Like, you can tell those look different, right? But the easiest way to tell is from the back. You can see that back yarn skipping those stitches. So that's the easiest way to know what you did the last time. If your brain does go on autopilot and you get back to this part and you're like, wait a minute, what was it's, I get it, it's only a 2-row repeat, but still sometimes our brains need some little clues either way. So when I see that, I know that I'm just going to knit across. So I'm going to knit across, and then if you get to your next round, right, and you've zoned out again at some point, that's okay. Like, this is what I love about this, is it's very readable. So if you get to the end of your next round and you come back around here and you're like, I still don't remember what I did, just look at the back of your stitches. You'll see these regular old purl bumps on the back, and you'll know it's time to do slip one, knit one. So I'm going to go around and do about 20 more rounds like this, okay? Where that means I'm going to end up with 10 slip stitches. And that's actually what I count for it because it's easier. And when I end up with that, that's when I'm going to start my toe. So I'm going to come in here and go. Oh. Go. And when I get to the end here, I can tell that I've resolved these slip stitches because I can see them completely, right? You'll be able to see that there are stitches that are longer than the other stitches, and as you stack them up, it will become even more apparent. You can see that there are, I'm going to use the point of my needle here, you can see that there are two, focus, there are 2 stitches where this stitch is. So 2 stitches where this stitch is. See? They're that long. And that's good, and that's what gives you that reinforcement, is this extra little bit. And it does wonders. It's amazing. It makes my socks last so much longer. I'm really excited whenever I finish a pair of socks because I know it's going to last me a lot longer than the socks that I used to make myself without this, because I don't want to have to be precious with my knit socks. I'm okay with caring for them and laundering them well and everything, but I actually want to be able to use them. And that is why the Tread Heavy sole pattern exists, or recipe, I guess. So here we go. I'm going to do this 18 more rows. I'm going to do the 2 round repeat 9 more times, and then I will come back and we will do our toe together. There are a couple options that I'm going to show you, but also if either of those options are, by the end of my explanation, you're like, I don't like either of those, that's totally fine. YouTube is chock full of toe tutorials, and you can stick any of those on the end of your sock once you get to the end of this slip stitch section. You just pop that sucker on there and you'll be good to go. Okay, so 18 more rounds, 9 more repeats, and I will meet you here in just a second. All right, so here we are with our last slip stitch row, and I'm going to go ahead and complete that, and then we'll be back to the front of the sock. So I have, if I count my slip stitches here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is going to be my last one. I would not recommend doing the slip stitch section any shorter than this. Of course, you can do whatever you want. You could do it shorter, but I have found that on the socks that I forgot to start when I normally start, and just thought, I'm not going to rip that back. I'm just going to do it from here. They're not as good. And of course, you can always make it longer. If you have a longer foot, you might want to start this at a different place. Or if you just want it to be longer, that's fine too. Like I said, this sock is for my sister, and she has a shorter foot than I do. So that's nice. I don't have to knit for as long as I would for my own socks, but I make that adjustment in here. I do 5 less rounds for her socks than I do for my own. And these stitch markers are just to mark every 20 stitches from the pickup here at the beginning of the, or sorry, at the end of the heel flap. So that's how I measure mine. My sock recipe has been working well for a long time, and so I just kind of adjust hers in this area to make sure that she has just as much tread heavy coverage as I would, because these were actually inspired by her when her first pair of socks fell apart. And she had not even had them a year at that point. So she wears her wool socks a lot, and so we want them to be able to keep up with that wear. All right, so now we're back at the beginning of our sock. We have 10 resolved slip stitches here. Look at how pretty that is. That's just going to be so good. So if this is your first time making socks, I would suggest trying on your socks a lot. I would suggest trying them on after you get your leg done to make sure that you can get it over your heel. Depending on the height of your instep, that's really gonna make a difference. I would suggest trying it on again after you finish your heel, just to see if it's, you know, going well at that point. And then once you think you're about done with your foot, I would try it on again. Generally, the standard is that you're going to start your toe 2 inches from the end of your toes. Some people start it when they get to the top of their pinky toe. That's a way you can gauge it. I do it 2 inches from the end of my toes. Not because your toe is going to be 2 inches long. It's not going to be. But generally that gives you the kind of negative ease that you're looking for in a sock, so that you can have a gentle hug around your foot and so that it's not too long, because baggy socks wear down more quickly. So what I'm going to do with this sock is a contrast toe. If you're not doing a contrast toe, then you don't even need to worry about switching yarns or anything. You're just going to move on here. And what we're going to do first is a decrease round. No matter what toe you're doing, you're generally going to start off with decrease round. So I'm going to show you the first decrease round that I'm going to do here, and then we're going to talk about different kinds of toes, because then you'll already have what you need for a decrease round. The way that I do it is I add a stitch or two before my decreases come up, because I like the sides of my socks to be a little more stable than the standard toe that you would learn. Also, I'm going to show you instructions for a wedge toe, and I'm going to show you instructions for a rounded toe. We're going to actually knit a rounded toe because that's what I knit for my toes all the time, and I think it's just better. But there are tons and tons of toes out there. You can look up anatomical toes, you can look up umbrella toes, you can look up a myriad of toes. It's great. And yeah, so then we're going to start with our decrease round. So this is what I'm going to do for mine, okay? Generally, you'll knit a stitch and then you'll do your decrease here, but I'm actually going to knit 3 stitches and then do my decrease there. 1, 2, 3, and then if we're on this side of the fabric, we are going to do an SSK because we want it to lean that way, okay? and I found a new way to do an SSK. I'll put the tutorial in the notes here because I find it to be fabulous. You just put your needle in there, and then you put your needle in there in the back, and then you pull it through. And it's way more fluid, way faster. I absolutely love it. After watching that tutorial, that's all I've been doing since then, and I think it's fabulous. It makes a much tighter SSK. My knit two togethers have always been beautiful, and my SSKs have always been pretty noticeable and looser than my knit two togethers. So this new way to do it, I'm just doing it all the time now because I don't think it's necessarily perfect or perfectly mirrored or anything, but it is much better. Sorry, this mini is about to fall down because I'm knitting wildly. No, I'm kidding. Then we're going to get down here, and we're actually going to stop 5 stitches from the end of our round here because that's going to include 3 stitches from the end and our decrease. So I'm going to go here. I think I need one more. Yeah, one more. Then we're going to do our knit 2 together because we want our decrease to go this way. This is just like our gusset decreases. It actually doesn't matter. You can do your decreases however you want. If you want to do all knit 2 togethers on your decreases, it won't look the same, but functionally it's gonna be fine. Okay, so then we're gonna do our same thing here as we did on the other side. We're gonna knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna do our SSK, and we're gonna do our loop and alley-oop through there. All right. If you are interested in learning, I guess, a more standard or basic way of doing an SSK, you can go back to the heel gusset decreases here on my tutorials, and there's a different way of doing that. It's the more, I guess, it's the way a lot of people do it, and it's the way a lot of people learn how to do it, and it might help make sense for like which direction it's leaning. It doesn't help me. I still can't tell which way my decreases and increases are leaning a lot of the time. Sometimes I just need to do them and look at it and go, oh, that was the wrong one, and then do it again afterwards. So here's where we're getting down to 5. Don't get confused by my yarn being in the way here. Here we go. So how many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Got 3 more. 2, 3. Then we're going to do our knit 2 together. And then 3 more. Congratulations. And that is your decrease round. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my main color because I do not need it anymore for this sock. I'm going to take my main color and just break it because huzzah, we did it. Isn't that pretty? I love those speckles. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on in our lives from the speckles, even though they are beautiful, to this tonal brown. And what I do to knit, usually when you're switching colors, you're gonna get like this little gap here. Sorry, I keep moving to the left. You're gonna get this little gap here. What I do to avoid that is I take my tails and I pull them forward. And most of the time I just knit that next round with them forward and then pull them back. So I'm gonna just knit that first stitch and go all the way around, and you'll see that yarn back there is going to be here, and I'll show you, or you can do it this way where you put this stitch back on this needle and just pull these suckers back here over that yarn, and then you can knit your way around. If you hear my children screaming outside, it's because they are enjoying themselves on the trampoline. Don't worry. No one was harmed in the making of this video. So before we continue on, because we're getting ahead of ourselves here, I told you I'd show you a decrease round, and now I'm showing you how to do color management. So here's what we're going to do. This is a wedge toe, okay? So we've got our, it's literally a wedge when you finish it. That's what it's going to look like. So it's just what people like about it is it's very easy to read. You have a decrease round, then you have a knit round. You have a decrease round, then you have a knit round. You just keep going that way till you get to 24 stitches, and then you do your little Kitchener. All right? That's a wedge toe. It's really easy to do. If that's what you want to do, then you go ahead and watch the decrease round as many times as you want. Do a knit round, then do the decrease round again. If you want to do a rounded toe, then this is what you're going to do. It's going to turn out a little more rounded. It's not going to be like a semicircle. You're still going to have this flat part here when you end, because you're going to be Kitchenering those stitches together. Also, if you hate Kitchenering, you don't have to do that. We can talk about other options at the end there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to decrease one round, then I'm going to knit 3 rounds. I'm going to decrease 1 round, knit 2 rounds, decrease 2, decrease 1, decrease 1, decrease 1, and then I'm going to decrease until I get to 24. Okay, 24 stitches, 12 on each side. So 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, which is cute because that's just 1 3, 2 2s, and 3 1s, right? I just love the symmetry of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this second round the way that I'm supposed to. Totally forgot for a second to follow my pattern. Don't worry, friends. If you also forgot to follow your pattern, you can always go back for a second. Okay, so then I'm gonna get my little stuff going on here. So this is gonna be my so many ends. Oh my gosh. Okay, I can do this. I'm a capable person. Okay, so then we're gonna take this non-end. So this row is just for my pattern. I'm going around this way because that is supposed to match this that's going on here, but you're probably just going to be knitting. So I'm going to do this round, and yes, I do literally pick up the new color every time. If you are familiar with color work, this might be a little hard for you to watch because there are much more efficient ways to do this, but I have not practiced them, and so my dexterity in those techniques is very, very low. I think it would be great to learn it, but I think I would have to also learn a lot more about color dominance and how that works for me. And if I want to continue doing throwing for color work like that, or if I want to do, yeah, just, you know, how it goes when you're doing new techniques and you're not sure if your brain can handle the new pattern and the new technique. Anyway, so I'm going to be going around here. This is going to be my first knit round for after my decrease round for my rounded toe. Now there's lots of ways you can keep track of where you are on your rounds. You can use a fun row counter. I have some of those. Those are really fun. You just put them on your needle, and when you get to your, you know, that's round 1, when you get back to it, you switch it to round 2. Those are really, really nice. I like those. You can also use the little kind of standard stitch markers that we use for everything, like the ones I have on the bottom of the foot here that I'm tracking my rows with here. We're going to keep going. My little 1x1 here colorwork round is about to end, but that's okay. It's just a regular round, so it's going to be easy. You can use these. You can also just read your stitches. Some people have trouble with it. I think with toe decreases, it's not hard, especially when you have good lighting. Now, if you're working with darker yarn and you're in some bad lighting and you feel like you won't be able to figure it out, of course, use tools that'll, benefit you. Or even if you're in good lighting with lighter yarn and you just don't want to have to read it, you just want to have to look at the tool, that's fine too. Whatever works for you is what works. And there should be no shame in your game for the tools that you use to make beautiful things. So here we go. Getting to the end here. And I know this is crazy, but call me maybe. No, we'll stop. Okay. I know this is crazy, but this is going to be the end of our blue here. Right here. And so I will take that off. So I've got some ends here that I'm going to manage as I go. But if you're doing a contrast toe, you probably aren't going to have this many going on. But I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm just going to pull these forward and then knit another round because we have not reached our 3-round quota before our next decrease is supposed to arrive. So we'll go around again. And I would encourage you to look at the shape of your toes and see what you think would suit you best. There are lots of creators on YouTube who actually have knit up a bunch of different kinds of toes. You can look at the shape of them and see what looks most like the shape of your toes. What is so cool about humanity is how different we all are, even when it comes to just the shapes of our toes and which toes are longest and which toes even are, longer than your big toe sometimes, or if your biggest toe is actually your tallest toe. It's crazy. Some people's big toes, can go that way. And so I have never found for myself that the wedge toe is the shape that my toes actually are. I find that the rounded toe is closer to that. I am flirting with doing anatomical toes because that might actually be the shape of my toes, but I also really like the ability to not have to think about which sock is going on which foot. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will turn into the bougiest sock knitter you ever saw, and I'll have all these qualifiers for my socks. I'm already kind of there, you know what I mean? Doing anatomical toes wouldn't be that far of a reach. I'm already quite picky, obviously. We've already been through all of these steps together. It's not like I can pretend to be this low-key, low-maintenance sock knitter or anything. Here we go. Now we're on, that's completing knit round number 2. I say completing, I'm only like halfway through this. Do you do that? I do that when I'm not even at the end and I'm like, so that part's done. It's not done. In reality, it's not. Okay. So here we go. And then now I'm gonna do what I did with the last one is I'm gonna take my tails here, and since I have that little yarn bridge to pull them over, I'm gonna just tuck them in there and weave them in later. Some people knit their ends in. I do that occasionally. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what's going on, and if I feel like I'm already going to be weaving in some ends. Most of the time I just let it be the life that I'm going to have later to weave in those ends. All right, now we are on knit round number 3. Look at how pretty this is already. Oh my goodness. It's going to be so great. I feel like I shied away from the sparkle yarn for many years now, and now I have accidentally actually I got an advent set with sparkle in it, and I first thought I was going to give it to someone, but now I keep finding myself using it. So amazing, right? Turns out I am like other girls. Anyway, we're going to go through this last knit round. And then we're going to do a decrease round again. And believe it or not, I am going to show you how to Kitchener. I absolutely love Kitchenering. It's fun for me. A lot of people don't like it, and you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. You can finish it off however you want. You could do a 3-needle bind off. I know some people who do 3-needle bind offs on the inside instead, so that it looks like there's just this little seam. I mean, essentially there is a seam there, is what you're creating. If it were me, I'd probably do the 3-needle bind off on the outside, because I don't think I would want that edge on the inside of my socks, but you can do whatever you want. No one can make you make your socks a certain way. You do whatever you want. Also, I'm trying to think if there's a way a little more seamless that you could do it, but Kitchener is probably the most seamless way. If you're okay with a seam, then you can do lots of things. Lots of ways to do it. You could even do like a little I-cord bind off on the outside. That might be cute. Now I'm all thinking about it. I might do that. That would be cute. I don't know if it would mess with your toes in your shoe. Anyway, here we go. Almost to the end of this one. And then we're going to do our decrease round one more time. Just kidding. Now we're going to do our decrease round one more time. See, I'm always jumping the gun. I get so excited. I'm literally excited about this toe right now because I just am wanting this sock to be done, and I love putting the socks in the water. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, right? Then we're going to do our SSK, loop and scoop, and alley-oop.
Do you remember that guy who has purple hair on the back and who has that cape?
Purple hair on the back and has a cape.
And have a charger.
Yes, Leon.
Yes.
And then we're going to continue through this to our next decrease. How is it when I'm decreasing, sometimes the rounds actually feel longer probably because I'm excited. I'm like, how long does it take to get over, like 28 stitches or something? But so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2. We got our knit 2 together here, and then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then we're just gonna repeat that same thing on the other side, on the back. So you're decreasing. Every time you're decreasing, you're going down 4 stitches. You're going down 2 on this end and 2 on this side. Sorry, 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So you're going on both ends, on both sides, down a stitch. So every time you go down, you're going from 64. On this sock, it's a 64 stitch count, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna go loop and scoop and alley-oop. And then, so you're going down from 64 to 60, then down to 56, then down to 52. There's going down by factions of 4. Factions wasn't the right word there. We're just going down by, you're doing, you know, your 4 times tables. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, then by the time you get down to 24, that's when we're going to be in business with the closing up the toe. You'll be done, essentially. Not really. You do have to finish it to be able to have it be a functional sock, but it'll feel done. It'll feel done. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, there we go. I'm leaning on this table and shaking you. I'm sorry. Okay, so then we did decrease, 3 knit rounds, decrease. Now I'm going to do my 2 knit rounds and do that. And I will see you after I finish this one, and we'll practice our decrease round one more time. All right, here we are, sunset in Camden. So we've got, this is what I mean by reading your stitches, okay? We've got our decrease down here. You can see that right there, right? And we've got 1, 2, 3 regular rounds, another decrease there. 1, 2 regular rounds, another decrease there. 1, 2 regular rounds, and then we're going to put another decrease in here. I swear our entire lives are just practicing reading and counting. So once I mastered English, then I had to learn some other acronyms that were languages for stage performing, and now I've learned them for knitting, and who knows, maybe I'll actually pick up another language that a lot of other people actually speak. But for now, I practice reading stitches and just counting forever, just practicing counting. It's our whole lives, right? Okay, we're gonna go around here. So once we get done with this decrease round, once we get done with this once we get done with this decrease round, we're going to be down to 48 stitches, which is fantastic, but we got to keep going because we actually need this down to be, we're going to need it to be down to half of that. I'm just batting 1,000 with this speaking thing today, I tell you what. Okay, so then we're gonna decrease again on this side. What is it about the little magic loop shimmy that it's always fun? Resetting our needles, getting set up for new things or repeats of things. There we go, in, and then back here, and then through. Oh man, I love that. It is so new and so much more efficient for me than the old way I used to do it. Okay, so that puts us into the section of the decreases where we're just going to be doing the same thing you would do with a wedge toe. We're just going to be knitting around, decreasing, knitting around, decreasing, knitting around, and then decreasing a bunch after that. We're going to be decreasing 4 times after that to get us from 36 down to 24. So here we go. This is the part where I always have to keep track, because once I get done with 2 knit rounds, usually I go back to my, once I get done with the first couple knit and then decrease rounds, I have to go back and think, am I done? No, I'm not done. I have one more to do. So we're just gonna knit around. And if you're doing the wedge toe, this is the part that you can totally watch for reference to, is just gonna knit around and then decrease around again. Sorry, I'm shaking you again because I'm leaning on the table. That's okay. Sorry for anyone who has vertigo, who's like struggling. Okay, there we go. Half around. I should have gotten myself like a little bowl so that I don't have to keep wondering if that's gonna fall off the table here. But I like to live on the edge. I like a little danger. I'm joking, that's about as much danger as I can handle. Safety is my jam, I'll tell you that. Okay. Alright. It's looking so good. I saw this post recently that said, adulthood is just saying okay and all right in different rooms in your house at different times. And I felt attacked and seen at the same time, because I do that constantly. Sometimes just in the same room over and over again while I'm knitting something. Here we go. And finishing that round means we get to do another decrease round. And that'll put us down to 44, which will be fun. All right. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do our SSK. Oh, there we go. That one's a little tricky sometimes if your stitches are pretty tight to be able to get it through that first twisted stitch, but with the more I'm practicing it, of course, the easier it's becoming. So there we go. And these rounds are, believe it or not, getting smaller. It takes less time for us to get from one end to the other. There we go. Sorry if you can hear my cords rubbing on the table. There's only so much room in this area where I chose to film, because I chose an area that would be farther away from the sounds of my children, but close enough so that I could hear them. As I said, safety is my jam. So isn't this like just the life of YouTube knitting creators though, like trying to find peaceful spaces to share knitting stuff with each other? I feel like that's the whole pursuit most of the time. Here we go. Okay, and I am gonna do my knit round, my decrease round, my knit round, and then I'm gonna come back so that I can show you how this should read when you're up to the point where you should just be left with decrease rounds. Okay, so this is what's making our toe a little bit rounder, is this gradual decrease. Okay, so this is gonna get, you're gonna see the round as we do more decreases here, and that is the technical term. The sound is exactly how you're supposed to say it. So this is what you should have before you start all your decreases. Okay, before you start your ending decreases, you should have one decrease round, then 1, 2, 3 regular knit rounds, one decrease round, 1, 2 regular knit rounds, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, decrease, 1, decrease, 1. Okay, just like it has here on our little note. And if you ever want to just take a little screenshot of this, I don't own this. This is public knowledge. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 decrease rounds until we have 24 stitches on the needle. We're gonna have 12 on this side and 12 on this side. Okay, now I wanted to show you, this corner is great, this corner is great, this corner is great, and this corner, even though it's great, has a mistake. So here, right up here, you'll see 2 decrease rounds in a row. That's because I forgot to do one of them. And so you can sneak them in there. You don't have to be exactly right. You're just looking for that kind of shape, right? So you don't have to be tinking back entire rounds just because you forgot one. Don't worry about it. Just have a sneaky decrease in there every once in a while. Okay. So here we go. Now we're going to be getting down to 36. Oh man. These stitches are just flying now. Heaven's sakes. Go. And what we're gonna do, one of the reasons I like to do 3 regular knit stitches on this side is I feel like by the time you get to 24 stitches on the needle, it looks really balanced at the end. So you have 3 and then 6 and then 3 on each side, and I just think that looks nice. That's just me. You can have more. You could have, heavens, you could have 5, up to 5 by the time you get to the end, on each, you know, before the decreases if you wanted. But I think this is sufficient. Most people just have 1, but I like, right now, I like 3. And you can always change it up. That's what's fun about knitting too, is you can always change it up. I've been doing an SSK stitch the same for years and years, and now I don't know that I will ever find another way to do that makes me as happy as this, but I might. Who knows? It's happened before. It may happen again. And that's our first decrease round. And now, so we've got 3 more to do. The shape here is gonna change into this cute little rounded toe now that we've got these these consistent decreases going on here. Come on. There we go. Sometimes it's like fishing, you know? Like, I'm trying to catch this one, but am I catching what I want? Nope. Try one more time. There we go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I only have 8 stitches in between decreases now. That just is great. It's great. Okay. Some people like to keep track of their beginning of round even when they're on magic loop. You might wonder how, or you know, how they do that with the needle always being on the end. But the way that I do it is I just put a little stitch marker on the side that is my beginning of round in the stitches. So I would take one of these because I don't need these anymore. And I would put it right here. And that's helpful just in case you get a little mixed up about like which side you started your toe on, because sometimes I get a little silly and I started on the bottom because I feel like it that day. It's just, if you feel like it's a good way for you to keep track, if you're wondering if you're done with your round or not, because when you've been going round and round this sock for so long, sometimes, especially if you're like me and you try to finish socks late at night, and you know, even though you'd probably have more brain power and sunlight in the morning, it doesn't matter. That late night finishing energy is just undeniable sometimes. So that's 2 decrease rounds. Now we're gonna get our third one done. I can feel it. Oh, I'm getting all excited again. This is so great. I've been wanting to finish this sock, but I've also been wanting to share the ball of foot and the toe, the rounded toe, with you. And so I waited a little bit so that I wouldn't have to wait to do a whole nother sock. So this is just very exciting. We're there. It's going to be so great. So see how it's making this cute little shape now? Oh, okay. So it might be hard for you to read your stitches here when you're getting to the last of the decreases, because it is going to pull your fabric this direction. So what I do if I've lost track is I just start from the beginning again. I'm very familiar with like this sequence, the 3 2 2 1 1 1, but we've got 3 here. This is our last regular round right here. So you can see that we've got 3 decrease rounds going. So we're on our last one, which is exciting. Kitchener, I'm coming for you. All right, 1 2 3. And then we've got our decrease here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to have another decrease here. My goodness. 1, 2, 3. And that, my friends, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that side is done. Okay, so we're going to flip over to this side and finish this side. And then we're going to close this thing up with some magic. Okay, 1, 2, 3, last SSK, here we go. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I made a mistake. That's okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep going because I've done this before. I've made a mistake like this before. And I bet you maybe I missed more than one decrease on this side. That's the side I did. I had a little missed decrease on earlier that I thought I fixed. But that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can make it okay. If you end up at this point and you don't have the right amount of stitches on one side, because you can still do it. You can still keep continuing on this direction. So now we have our toe that we need to close up, right? Look at it. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So cute. And this is how you can see it's a little rounder than the wedge toe. It's not completely a semicircle, but when it's on your foot, it's going to look a little rounder, right? So here we go. We're going to break our yarn. You don't need a ton. You don't need as much as like you would for a cast on or anything. If it's here and it's a full length sock, I just come down to here and I break it. So that's not really that's kind of like asking for measurements from a cook, but that's how I do it. And I've never run out of yarn for a Kitchener before, but I have had way, like a ton of yarn left over. So I'm actually trying to be less cautious with my yarn usage here. Okay, so usually what you would do, right, when you're at this part, you would pull this needle out so you have a little more room back here so you can work with both needles up front, but we're not going to do that. We're going to line these needles up, and we are going to go in a rhythm. Okay, we're going to go knit, purl, and then we're going to go purl, knit, and that's all we're going to do during this Kitchener. I don't really do any setup things for the first 2 stitches. Some people do. I find them unnecessary and a little confusing, so we're not going to do that. So aside from this stitch and this stitch, we're going to work all of these stitches twice, okay? And I'll show you over here how we're going to fix our mismatched stitches that I forgot to decrease. So we're going to knit through this. So normally what you would have is you'd have someone go knit through, pull it off the needle, and then you're going to purl through here. Okay. Oh. Then you would purl through here, this back needle, pull it off, and then you would knit through here. All right, that's how a lot of people do it. It's a great way to learn. If you already know how to do that Kitchener stitch, great. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to show you something a little faster. I'm going to go through this and then go through this, pull it through, and then pull that first stitch off. Okay, then I'm gonna purl through this and pull it off while my needle's still in there, and then knit through there. Okay, I find it's more fluid. If you're not as familiar with the Kitchener stitch, that's okay. There's lots of tutorials. You can still do it where you pull it through knitwise. Oh, I bumped you again. Pull it through knitwise, take it off, go through purlwise, leave it on. Then you're going to do it backwards back here. Go through purlwise, take it off. Then go through knitwise and leave it on. That's the whole rhythm of Kitchener stitch, is those 4 stitches. You can do that over and over again, but I find that for me this is way faster and just not as cumbersome if I do it in one. So I take it off and then knit through there. See? I think that's just way better. We're gonna knit that one and then purl through this one. We're gonna purl off and then knit through that one. I find it so much easier. There's only 12 stitches, so it's gonna be great. And struggling with 24 stitches to me is just like, why? But, and so if you've not experienced this before, this is what Kitchener does to your stitches. It's just gonna make it look like this seamless thing. So here's what we're gonna do. Because we need to work every stitch twice, right? I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna purl that part, and then back on the back needle I'm gonna purl this off because we already worked that one once, right? But then I'm gonna do 2 over here, almost a knit 2 together on it, because we have an extra stitch back there and I want it to come out evenly, right? But I also don't want to leave something only worked once. So I'm gonna come through here like this, and then I'm gonna purl through both of these, and what do you know, now we have the same number of stitches. So it'll be great. And no one will care that that is what's going on with your sock. Even you won't care. You'll probably forget when you look at it later. It does not matter that much. One stitch does not a sock ruin. In fact, you could go a few stitches and it would be fine, but we are aiming for the moon so that we end up in the stars, right? All right. Here we go. Oh my gosh. There, we got it. And then we're gonna go like this, and then this last one. Oh, whoa. Ha! I was about to say you could just pull it off if you were ready for that. I'm not. That's hilarious. And then that's gonna be my other stitch right there. So then you're just gonna knit through that, and then you can take it off and purl through that, and you'll be good. That is funny. I almost said it and then it came right off. So you're gonna have a little ear here. That's okay. That's okay. It'll simmer down after wash and wear. So then we're gonna have our needle in here, and I'm gonna flip the sock inside out so that we can look at our ends here. So I've got my end, and if you have been dealing with just one color this whole time, you'll just have 2 ends to weave in. If you've got a contrast toe and a contrast heel or a contrast cuff, you'll have quite a few more. And of course I've got some from my color work here. Anything that is not in ribbing, I just take and do like a zigzag. I'm going to take mine and go like this Just like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 rows like that. And then I'm going to go back the other way. Because what we're trying to do is make it hard for this little sucker to come out. Now you could do it again. You could do it again if you want after that. That's fine. You can zigzag it as many times as you want. But I have never, ever had an end come out that I've done this way. Ever. So then what I do with the one that's in the ribbing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of hide it in these purl stitches. They're gonna look like knit stitches on this side, but of course on this side they are purl stitches, right? And because the purl stitches kind of recede back more, that's why I'm gonna hide it in there. So I'm gonna take it and go in this column. You don't have to have it fitting exactly in there. It's just, in fact, sometimes I prefer it splitting into the yarn a little bit because I want it to be a little grippier. So one way and then the other way. And don't pull it too tight. You actually want to kind of zhuzh it around to make sure you've got all the elasticity that you would have. But you can't see it at all in there. It's great. And I usually don't clip my ends until after I have blocked the sock. That's just my preference. You can. I would suggest doing it out a little bit if you haven't blocked them yet. That's why I do it after I'm done blocking them, because I just want to be able to cut them to where I would want them to be cut. So yeah, that is the end of that sock. You can weave in, I'm going to go back and weave in the rest of these ends later, but that is the end of the sock. Look how cute it is. Oh my goodness, look how cute it is. And you can put these on sock blockers. You can, you know, soak them in your favorite wool wash, put them on sock blockers. You can put them on your feet immediately. You can you know, just put them up for a minute and admire them. It's whatever you want to do. Blocking socks is not necessary to be able to wear them. They will relax with just, you know, you soaking them and then laying them out to dry and you wearing them. You don't actually have to have any fancy equipment for it to work. So there you go. If this is your first sock that you've finished, congratulations. You've just got one more to go to have a pair to wear. And then if this is the second sock, put these suckers on, man. They're going to be so warm and toasty. It's going to be so great. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.